Hello everyone, this is Mark Harrell, Senior Pastor of Forest Hills Baptist Church in Wilson, North Carolina. Thank you again for joining me. It's the 24th of February and March is around the corner, and we're having a wonderful warm-up today, and it's not raining for a change. This week, as I was thinking about the message for Wednesday, I heard an interview with Toby Mack on The Message, which is a Sirius radio channel. And he was talking about a particular scripture about how God will roll up and bare his arms to come to our aid. And I'll be reading that text in a second. And in the interview, certainly Toby Mack is well known to a lot of people who enjoy contemporary gospel. And he recently lost a son to a drug overdose within this past year. And he was talking about some of the valleys that he had gone through and some of the things that he was thinking about and how he could take that experience and maybe help others. The thing I was thinking about while he was probably going through this, and as he read that text, he began to understand, I'm going to get through this because God is on my side. And God is on the way to help. And I know we think about being on the way, that he's always with us. But as we go through life's events, many times we'll ask God, what took you so long? So today's topic is know who is on your side. So let's begin with Isaiah 52 and verse 10. The Lord hath bared his holy arm before the eyes of all the nations, and all the ends of the earth shall see the salvation of our God. Now, this idea of bare the arms goes back, way back, to preparing for battle. And we'll read more about that as well. And even back then in the Old Testament, the writers understood that his readers would definitely comprehend the symbolism there. Now, I know we're making a large assumption that God has sleeves, but even without knowing whether he has long sleeves or not, the symbolism still exists for his people to understand that God is on their side. And when he rolls up his sleeve to prepare for battle, he's the one you want in your corner. Exodus 14, 13 through 14. This is one of my favorite texts because a lot of people sometimes, wondering, where's God? When's he going to do something? How's he going to help me through all that I'm going through? And Moses has got his back to the Red Sea. His people are, of course, murmuring against him, saying, you brought us out here to the desert to die. Didn't Egypt have enough cemeteries? That kind of talk. So let's look at the text here. And Moses said to the people, fear not, stand firm, and see the salvation of the Lord, which he will work for you today. For the Egyptians whom you see today, you shall never see again. Verse 14. Very easy verse to remember, by the way. Verse 14, the Lord will fight for you, and you have only to be silent. Now, many times you'll see in the text about being still and watch God fight for you. Be still, be quiet, observe what God's going to do for you. But this was immediate. This was something that had to happen right then, right there to save their very lives. So you can imagine they're sitting there saying, okay, well, where is this going to happen? Now notice that Moses didn't say, just jump in the Red Sea, start swimming, you'll make it. Didn't happen that way. Stand still, be quiet, and watch your God fight for you. In Ezekiel 4, verse 7, he says, and you shall set your face toward the siege of Jerusalem, with your arm bared, and you shall prophesy against the city. So again, he's going a different angle now in Ezekiel, because Ezekiel is saying, the Lord says, you're going to face the siege of Jerusalem, the siege that was going on, and you're going to prophesy against the city. But before you do, you're going to roll up your sleeves and bare your arms. And the people will understand exactly what that means, along with the words that you're going to speak. When we think of preparing for a fight, you can imagine in your mind's eye that if you're backed into a corner and you can't get out of it, kind of thing, and you can imagine someone starting to roll up their sleeves and their eyes looking directly at the threat and how they're going to deal with it. And so many times when I think about this, I think about, well, how far does that go? The symbolism of rolling up my sleeves, indication of something is about to happen. A fight is about to begin. A battle is about to begin. A call to arms is about to begin. The origination of arms, not used as describing body parts, of course, but weapons of war, has early origins. The loose sleeve of the Arab shirt that was worn, as well as that of the outer garment, leaves the arm completely free. So the instant that the left hand passes over the right, pulling up the sleeve, what it does, it frees up that arm. It frees it up for a person or a soldier. For example, to strike with the sword intends to give the arm full play. In other words, it's about to go down. And that individual wants to have his arms unrestricted. This also includes the times in the Old Testament. Not just when we think about Arab dress or Oriental dress and that type of thing. One of the things this also reminds me of, we think about knowing who's on our side and bearing arms. Many of you, I'm sure, when you hear the word bearing arms, you think of the Second Amendment. And let me read that to you in case some of you aren't aware of the Second Amendment. A well-regulated militia, being necessary to the security of a free state, the right of the people to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed. Now, this is certainly being contested about, is this talking about individuals or individuals in a militia? And is it really up to date because we have a military, so why do we need a militia? But again, the wording here, to keep and bear arms. To bear arms also, if you look at the origination, some of the words that were used in the medieval times, it really meant to furnish with weapons around year 1200. And there's also a French word armor, or armor is A-R-M-E-R, to provide weapons or to take up arms. It's also directly from the Latin to furnish with arms, or implements of war. So many times we hear about the word arms, some people would think, well, that's a body part, while others will believe, no, that's my 9mm Glock, or my rifle, or my hunting rifle, whatever it might be. They think of a weapon. As we go further into that meaning, it also is used in something called the coat of arms, and many of you probably have this hung up on a frame in your homes. And the coat of arms was a principal part of a system of hereditary symbols that you see in the different coat of arms and the shield, dating back to early medieval Europe, used primarily to establish someone's identity in battle. So you could look at their shield or their logo on their shirt, whatever you want to call it, emblem, that would identify who they are in battle. Arms also evolved to denote that the family's descent or alliance or property ownership, and eventually profession. You can search your own name, and if you know what country you're from, most of us are either from Ireland or Scotland, and depending on where your family immigrated from, and you can actually go and search for your coat of arms. But remember this, what you're actually searching for is that coat of arms was actually used to identify your family in battle, who they were. Now, again, my family originated from Ireland, the Heralds, and it came from multiple changes in spelling. And probably they migrated actually, or immigrated, excuse me, from England. And you can see as this is my particular coat of arms, and it would mean who I was in battle, and we would use the term coat of arms. Now, Romans 8:31 says, "What then shall we say to these things? If God is for us, who can be against us?" During these days, we need to understand who is in our corner, who is for us, whose side we are on, and who's on our side. And looking at this text certainly says God is for us. So why would we be concerned about who would be against us? Do you understand that the God of creation, who spoke life into existence, is for you? In other words, He's on your side. Considering the world events, weather, riots, pandemic, and a government that appears to be less and less God-fearing, if there's ever a time we need to understand that God is for us, it is now. So, beloved, when you think about what you're going through, and you think no one's for you, and the suffering that you're going through, and you believe you're all alone, remember this. If you're a Christ follower, and you have placed Christ on the throne of your life, God is for you. Now, many may say, well, what happens if I don't know Christ, if I have not given my life to Him? God still loves you because He gave Christ for you while you were yet a sinner. And in order to have that relationship with Him that He desires, you have to know His Son, Jesus Christ. And that will bring Him into your life in such a way that you will know without a shadow of a doubt that He is for you. Many people like watching WWF, of course, which is a World Wrestling Federation on TV for entertainment. I can remember as a young child watching it on WRAL on Saturday night, and Dorton Arena in Raleigh would televise Ric Flair and Wahoo McDaniel and Swede Hansen and many others, and they would go into the ring, and one of the things that I really couldn't understand, because of course at that age I thought it was all real, not for entertainment, I couldn't understand the concept of the tag team. And watching them fight or wrestle, and they would be wrestling in the ring, and obviously after a while one of the guys wasn't doing very well. And you could tell it, of course, he was acting exhausted and beat up and all this kind of thing. And you could hear his partner in the corner yelling, "Tag me in, tag me in." And what I couldn't understand is, fella, your teammate wants to help you, and you're not responding, and you're not even trying to tag him. And what do we normally see? To the point that you think he's going to lose the match, right at the very last minute, of course properly scripted, he would reach out with his fingertips barely getting to his partner, and he would tag him in. Now, the reason I tell that story, I think sometimes this is how we behave in the ring of life. We're struggling. We're getting to the point of exhausting our faith or burning out. But we keep fighting, but we're fighting on our own strength. Asking, well, who's on my side? I can't keep doing this alone. Realizing that you really don't have to. Because God is in your corner yelling, tag me in. Tag me in. And for some reason, we feel like we got to wait, keep waiting, do it on our own, whatever it might be. And He's calling on us saying, look, I can save the day. Tag me in. We are very interesting people when it comes to being dependent on God. We will act like that everything is up to us until the very last minute when everything is now in despair. When we should have called Him in the ring much earlier. In old Western movies, I can remember, and people would call and say, here comes the cavalry, here comes the cavalry. And of course, they're showing up to save everybody. And of course, most of the movies I can remember, they always showed up when the town was burned down and everybody had already been killed. They were a day late. But as Christ followers, God is never too late. We're too late in calling on Him to come to save us. In Psalms 50, 14 and 15, it says, offer to God a sacrifice of thanksgiving and perform your vows to the Most High and call upon me in the day of trouble. I will deliver you and you shall glorify me. Call on me the day of trouble. So certainly these are troubling days. We need to be calling upon Him and glorifying Him and asking Him for the solution. In Isaiah 65 and 24, before they call, I will answer. In other words, before they even call, I'm going to answer. While they are yet speaking, I will hear. In other words, I already know what you're going to call me for. I'm already listening. I'm already understanding. I will already answer you before you even call. And while you're even talking, I already know what you're going to say. I'm already hearing it. That's the God we serve. So I pray that you are thinking about even now, whatever you might be going through, when you're asking that question, well, who's on my side? What side am I on? Why are bad things happening to good people? I've known a lot of wonderful believers who have passed away from COVID. Some my patients. And believe you me, even I sometimes ask that question. Father, wonderful believer, sharing his testimony, doing so much for the kingdom, and you called him home with COVID. Now, I'm never going to get that answer to that why. The Lord giveth, the Lord taketh away. Blessed be the Lord. And I'm sure Toby Mac, after losing his son and all that he's gone through, when he wrote this song, Help is on the Way, probably thought about that. It's not really the why question. Is that I know that help is on the way. I'm going to read to you the lyrics of his song. I'm certainly not going to sing it. And listen to it carefully. And you certainly can Google this and the video that comes with it. His other son, his younger son, is also in the video. So help is on the way. This is how it begins. Maybe midnight or midday, never early, never late, he will stand by what he claimed, lived enough life to say, I heard your heart, I see your pain, out in the dark, out in the rain, feel so alone, feel so afraid. I heard you pray in Jesus' name, help is on the way. Help is on the way, coming for you. Help is on the way. I've lived enough life to say, help is on the way. Sometimes it's days, sometimes it's years. Some face a lifetime of fallen tears. But He's in the darkness, He's in the cold. Just like the morning, He always shows. Well, I've seen my share of troubles, but the Lord ain't failed me yet. So I'm holding onto the promise that He's rolling up His sleeves again. Said, I've seen my share of troubles, but the Lord ain't failed me yet. We'll keep holding on to the promise that He's rolling up His sleeves again. Rolling up, rolling up. Rolling up His sleeves again. Rolling up, rolling up. Rolling up His sleeves again. It may be midnight or midday. He's never early and He's never late. He would stand by what He claimed. I lived enough life to say. Many of you have lived enough life to say that God is always on time. Never early, never late. He will keep His promise that He made to us. He will not give us any burden that we cannot bear. His burden is easy. He's made it light. The yoke is light because of the work of Jesus Christ that we have that promise. So my challenge to you today is understand and know who is on your side. Continue to pray and continue to keep the faith. And I promise you, God is on the way. He will certainly roll up His sleeves and prepare to fight for you. God bless you and stay safe. Thank you.